But the confusion is, when we suggest the very idea that money doesn't matter, people feel deeply insecure. And if we should go further than that and suggest such outrageous ideas as that in the year 2000 AD there will no longer be taxation, that all utilities will be free, and that every citizen, instead of having to pay his taxes, will receive from the government a guaranteed basic income. People say, where's the money going to come from? As if money was something that came from somewhere, in the same way as iron, or hydroelectric power, or lumber, or just plain energy. Money doesn't come from anywhere and never did. Money is an invention, in the same way that inches and hours and clocks and rulers are inventions. That is, money is a measure of wealth. Now, if we define wealth as consisting of a sum of three things, wealth is firstly energy, secondly technical intelligence, and thirdly raw materials. Those three things. Now, when, for example, people think that gold is wealth and use gold for money, gold being used for money becomes immediately useless for anything else. It is locked up in just plain ingots, doing nothing in banks and fortresses, and is of no material value whatsoever. But the trouble is that we who pride ourselves on being a materialistically minded people, and are sometimes even ashamed of ourselves for being that, are not materialists in any sense whatsoever. We are high abstractionists. We are concerned with money, with status, with what we are called, what people say about us, with this whole mess of verbiage, and are very badly related indeed to any kind of physical, natural reality. Therefore, we have simply to get over. You see, I am a philosopher. I'm not a very highly informed fact man about matters economic and political, but I go down to basic principles, and therefore come with a certain naivete and innocence, like the child who noticed in Hans Andersen's Tale of the Emperor's New Clothes that the Emperor was naked. And I see in astonishment in this kind of childish way that people really think that money is necessary, that they don't understand the following simple principle. If you create a technology, and the purpose of that technology is to increase our supply of goods and services, and to make it unnecessary for anybody to perform drudgery, then of course you're getting rid of work. So we have the amazing idiocy to penalize getting rid of work as something called unemployment. To be of the lower social stages in which you crawl into a labor office and regretfully receive a dole. Because you see, if money was a convenience to get rid of barter, so that you wouldn't have to go down to the market with a basket of eggs in order to exchange it for vegetables and meat. But if you have nothing to barter with because the machines are doing it instead of you, then the people obviously have to credit themselves for the work done on their behalf by the machines. If they do not do so, the manufacturer will not be able to sell his product. Then what must he do? He invents instead wars and all sorts of disturbances, so that the people will be persuaded to fork out taxes, and the government will be persuaded to overextend the national debt, which is merely a method of issuing credit, in order that the thing may go on. It is not necessary to invent wars, it is only necessary to invent money. But the difficulty is, with our present psychology of money, is that the moment there would be a guaranteed national income, and everybody would be given $10,000 a year as a mere starter, whatever else they might want to acquire by various enterprises, prices would go sky high. The so-called cash, the new money in circulation. And the result of that would be that you would be a pauper on 10,000 a year. Because people do not realize that when you put up prices in order to catch an extra flow of money, the money you are getting by this method is increasingly less valuable. And therefore you're doing nothing at all. You're simply going round in a vicious circle. And so we have the situation that when profits go up, the unions say, more wages, please. Okay, more wages. Then what happens? The prices go up. And then the manufacturer thinks he's gaining something. He isn't gaining anything at all because it costs him more for everything he has. So, you see, the obsession of making money is the thing from which we will, if we're going to survive at all, is a thing from which we must be delivered. Because if you substitute for the idea of money the sensuous experience of real material wealth, you will very quickly realize that you cannot drive 3 cars at once, nor live in 6 houses at once, nor eat 5 breakfasts simultaneously. That there is simply a physical limit to your consumption of the most luxurious wealth imaginable. But the point is that everybody is going to have this. Absolutely no idea of experiencing our relationship to the physical universe, as both ecologists and physicists know it to be. The ecologist knows that a human being or any other organism is not something that comes into this world from somewhere else, but is an expression of it, grows out of it, like fruit from the trees. And it's absolutely imperative that we realize this. Because only on the basis of that new kind of conception of the human being, or feeling of human existence, can we have the motivation for developing a technology which will cooperate with the environment instead of merely destroying it. If you're a great wine bibber and you love to drink, you must realize that with that goes love of grapes. You can't just tear grapes off the hill and mulch them into wine. You've got to love them in such a way that those grapes will be happy to return to your hills year after year. That's real technology. No matter what instruments, no matter what chemicals you use, you must love the grapes on the hills, and they will come back often enough to give you plenty of wine. And so we can do all that if we will get into contact with what preachers and politicians call brute facts and hard realities instead of abstractions. But if we don't, and if nuclear energy in the end turns this planet into a star, that may be the way all other stars were made. Think of that. But you see, you won't disappear. The important thing to realize, you see, is that if this goes on, and that's the process, then wherever new beings of whatever kind, insects, mammals, fish, people, wherever they come into being, each one of them is I, feels its I, just as you do now. You don't remember having existed before. Neither will you then. But it will always be I, always going on. So cheer up. Because if you understand that and lose your anxiety, then you will be less likely to authorize someone to push the red button.